Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We're gonna get through this. That's the
opportunity while I was there of being the accountant for Floyd Mayweather for a number of years.
Oh, wow.
And just unbelievable experiences when I was working with him. I mean, stories that I can share, stories there'd be 4 or 5 very expensive sports cars out front of our building and 20 people coming in and sitting down and going through the various items that we needed to, but always very flashy, very, very out there. You know, but something that many people, it's public knowledge, not sharing anything that's not out there, but something many people don't realize is he suffered a lot through his life with depression. It's something that he's struggled.
After he boldly claimed on social media that he had recently bought 62 buildings in Manhattan, an announcement meant to demonstrate his wealth and astuteness as a real estate investor, the situation quickly spiraled out of control, and Floyd recently broke down after reports confirmed that investments worth $600 million are being seized by law enforcement. Once that lie was revealed, the FBI started looking into his larger investment history, eventually freezing other properties and accounts thought to be connected to him.
Dedicated to making sure that the homeless situation is cleaned up. This is one of the ways that they're doing it, and it looks like there could be possibly lots of different ways to scam the system.
And Floyd Mayweather is a provocative and controversial figure, but I think this article may make people think about him differently.
The assets, which are reportedly worth over $600 million, are currently locked and cannot be sold, transferred, or touched until the investigation determines whether Floyd actually owns them. Floyd decided to publicize the alleged deal by posting several videos of the properties and declaring that he had made a significant purchase in Manhattan. His tone was assured, even proud, and the videos were obviously intended to impress his audience. Reactions were swift.
Into my lifestyle, showing the people how I live. Now, I know you guys see me on a regular talking about real estate. Well, lately, I purchased 62 apartment buildings in New York City. And what I need you guys to do, slide over and check out the photos. It's not all 62 buildings, it's a few buildings, but guess what? All the buildings belong to me. I don't have no partners. And all the retail down low on my buildings, all belong.
The comments were inundated by supporters. The magnitude of the allegation garnered attention from sources outside the boxing community. But after officials started verifying the ownership records, it became clear that none of the structures were registered in Mayweather's name.
Floyd Mayweather Jr., there's a story circulating that Business Insider did talking about this $400 million property deal that he had been discussing here in New York City. But now, according to Business Insider, it's not what you think it is. They said there's no evidence there's been a sale of these properties, and it's 62 rental apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan.
That revelation set off a series of events that went beyond simply undermining his credibility. Since Floyd has acknowledged in previous interviews that real estate has become his primary source of income since leaving professional boxing, federal investigators who were already aware of his financial claims over the years used this as justification to look further. They went through his older records and started freezing other assets connected to him, and nothing can be moved until a complete audit is finished. This makes the situation even more serious, because if those accounts are frozen, the cash flow will cease to exist, at least temporarily. And with a lifestyle as high maintenance as his, that's no small matter.
How in 36 months, of course, with one of my new investments, I would be making $300 million a month. But
what investment is that?
Just in real estate.
Aggregate, got you.
And I'm heavy in real estate. I'm real heavy in real estate. Even though, you know, I got my own liquid, and if that means cash for those, I break it down in layman's terms. Even though I got.
As Floyd was getting ready to make one of his most ambitious moves to date, a $700 million push to purchase a stake in the NFL's New York Giants, he was working with real estate investor Mir Orbach. The two were planning to lead a group effort to acquire a 10% share in the team. The Giants are one of the league's oldest and most iconic teams, and their valuation of over $7.5 billion makes this a huge deal that forced Floyd to put $200 million into escrow to show his commitment and seriousness about the investment.
He misunderstood. He just wanted to be treated fair. Right. And this is for any team that's watching right now, we'll make them a deal. If they sign AB and AB go through the whole season, no problems at all. And then they got to give us 20 million. But if he mess up, then we got to give them 20 million. So if any team want to match that, reach out to us.
That plan is now in jeopardy, not only because his financial situation is in doubt, but also because his partner, Mir Orbach, has mostly remained silent in recent days when reporters asked him for comment. He gave a general response, saying that he and his partners are constantly looking into new business opportunities, such as team ownership, and declined to provide any further details. Normally, this kind of response wouldn't raise any red flags, but given the timing, it's being interpreted as a sign that something may not be adding up behind the scenes.
Life returns. Like, over his lifetime, he's going to make $300 million off the deal. It just doesn't make sense, especially with the amount of power players in NYC who would have already bought those 62 units if it was so lucrative. The white guy would have easily bought those 62 units up. And this is where I think the bigger understanding comes in. Because if you don't know, the true owner is Black Spruce Management. Mayweather at most holds a minority ownership stake and likely through a financial vehicle with options.
Of course, that has raised other queries. No one is certain at this time, but the longer the silence lasts, the more suspicious the scenario starts to appear. Why hasn't Orbach confirmed whether Floyd is still involved in the deal? Why is there such hesitancy to openly reveal information if everything is legitimate?
If you know how much money you got, you really don't have no money. So if you know how many buildings you got, you don't really have no buildings. So I think I own right now somewhere upwards of 100 buildings or more. And in 99% of my buildings are in
Fueling the fire with, I don't think he has the kind of money he says he has. I'm not saying he's broke, but with how much he's spending and how often he does exhibitions, it makes you wonder. Eddie Hearn remarked in an interview months ago, raising doubts about Floyd's financial security. His remarks attracted a lot of attention at the time, but when someone showed him the video, he shrugged it off and said, Hearn always has something slick to say, but now his words seem a lot more grounded in reality.
These guys carry on and they do the exhibitions and all that kind of stuff. It just sort of diminishes the legacy a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's what I feel like's happened with Mayweather.
Why do you think he does those things though? Do you think
for money?
I
don't think he's got the money he says. That's what I think.
I think he still needs the money.
I don't
after
think
all
he
these
needs
years.
the money. But you know when you got that lifestyle, right? So when you're spending what he's spending,